today's learning should also be a zchus for refuah shlema for Yisrael Yosef ben Leah. Okay, we're in Berachos. Let's start again from the beginning of the 8th Perek. The beginning of the 8th Perek begins, Elu dvarim shmei Beis Shammai Beis Hillel v'Suda. These are a list of things that Beis Shammai Beis Hillel disagreed with how you do them by a meal. Beis Shammai omrim mevarach al hayom, v'achar kach mevarach al hayayin. Beis Shammai says when it comes to make Kiddush Friday night, you first make a bracha on the day. You say.
Did we do this already?
We did do this already. I'm just going over again. You first make a bracha on the day, and then you make a bracha on the wine. You first say and then you make the Hagafen.
What?
When you get done. I couldn't find your coffee for it, so.
And Beis Hillel mevarach al hayom. Beis Hillel says you first make Hagafen. How we do it? Mevarach al hayom. The Gemara explains that their machlokes is each of them have two reasons for their order. Beis Shammai says the day should come first because the day began and now you're making Kiddush, and the only reason why you're bringing this cup of wine today is because it's Shabbos, so therefore Shabbos should come first. And Beis Hillel says you make the bracha first on the wine because if you don't have wine, you don't make Kiddush, or whatever. Either you could use bread, but if you need something to make Kiddush on, so that thing has priority. And also, we have a general rule of tadir v'sheno tadir, something that's more common, something that's less common. Tadir kaidem, what's more common comes first, and more often do we make the bracha of Hagafen than the bracha of Kiddush, so the bracha of Hagafen will come first. Okay. Now the next two mishnayos are a little bit complicated in Hilchos Tumah, so we'll try to give hopefully a helpful introduction. Fine. So on a d'oraisa level, the way Tumah works is, with the exception of a mace, which is like as a super Tumah, you have avos Tumah, you have the sources of Tumah, things like someone who touched a mace, a sheretz, a dead one of the 7 rodent type creatures that died that has Tumah, a zav, zava, nida, mitzayra, etc. all have tumah. If food or objects touch,
that's like second level.
So but that's called the top levels. The things that are sources of tumah, in general are called an avatuma, a father or source of tumah. Those, if they touch an object or food, will make it what's called a first level tumah, a rishon tumah. If that touches something else, that will make a second level tumah. It's the sheni tumah. The Rabbanon had problems with many things that they were afraid people would get confused. So one of their big concerns was there's a special din by a zav that any liquid that comes out of him, like his saliva, would have the status of the zav himself. That's also a top level tumah.
Rishon.
No, not a rishon.
Okay.
And they were worried people would think, well, it came from a zav, so it should be a level down and only be a rishon, and then if it touches a kli, a chair or whatever, it would not be tame. So therefore, the Rabbanan made a very broad gezerah across the board. Anytime liquid becomes tame, we make it a rishon so that people realize that liquids are different and they don't make this concern. Then they had a problem. They said if we do that, people are not going to realize that it's only a d'Rabbanan that these things are tame, which is going to cause problems because now if, say, truma touches this liquid and we make it tame, they're going to go and burn it because they think it's tame, when in fact, on a Torah level, it's really tahar, and therefore you can't burn it. So they put in their gzeira on liquids that if a liquid touches a kli, it touches a cup, a pot, whatever, that it will, if it touches the outside, it will only make the outside tame and not the inside, something which is not true by any deraisa sort of tumah. So that's one d'Rabbanan you have to hold in mind. The other d'Rabbanan they made is that people's hands should be tame if they haven't been washing them since they made them tahar, because people's hands touch things, they're worried that maybe they touched something, maybe they became tame. Again, they wanted to make it a distinction to make clear as the Rabbanan, so they made it only the hands and not the whole body, because from the Torah there's no such thing as hands being tame, the whole body goes together. And therefore, before we eat, they said, wash your hands to remove that Rabbanan Tumah. and then you can eat. So now we have in this Mishnah, a Mishnah base. Beis Shammai say, Netilas Yadayim, you should first wash your hands, and then mix the wine and water in your cup. So the Gemara explains that Beis Shammai's problem is as follows. If you first pour your cup, Beis Shammai is worried maybe some liquid will spill on the outside of the cup. You haven't washed your hands yet, so your hands are still tame. If your hands touch that liquid will become tame, and it will make the outside of the cup tame. And if the outside of your cup is tame, Beis Shammai is worried that when you're drinking, perhaps some liquid will touch the outside of the cup and will spray and hit the outside of the cup and jump back in, and then the liquid inside of the cup would be tame. Therefore, wash your hands first, so your hands are now tahar, and the cup is tahar, and the liquid's tahar, so you have no problems. Beis Hillel says, no, you don't have to do that. In fact, you should do it in the opposite order. You should first pour your cup, and then wash your hands. So Gemara explains, Beis Hillel holds there's no problem with using a cup that the outside is tamei, because we're not concerned with water.